Lynn from Catnap's Cattery here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about how to trim your cat's nails at home in two different ways. So the first thing we need to talk about is what tools you'll need in order to trim your cat's nails. So the first one is obviously nail trimmers. These are my favorite style of nail trimmer. They are actually usually sold as a small dog nail trimmer. There are a number of different styles of trimmer, and what you'll need is ones that feel comfortable in the hand and that they're fairly new so that they're sharp. So they make several styles. One style looks more like small scissors. Those are not my personal favorite. I think that they can be a little bit tough if they slip too far down your thumb in order to trim quickly and easily, and they're also quite tiny when it comes to the actual nail trimmer part, so they're really more appropriate for kittens and small cats. This style is good for all cats, including our larger breeds, including Siberians and Maine Coons, so I prefer the small dog size. Now these have a couple different features I want to point out to you if you're not a groomer. So the first one is the lock on the side. This is what keeps it in the closed position, so in order to use it, you just flick the little switch, and now it will open and close easily for you. The other piece I want to talk about is this little metal strip right here, and it's usually called the guard. And what that does is it will prevent you from slipping the pet's nail accidentally all the way through the nail trimmer so you trim too much. However, you still need to be watching to make sure that you aren't trimming too much. So this will make sure that you only trim a little bit at a time. I don't typically use the guard because I trim a lot of nails, so that just gets in my way. But if you're uncomfortable, then the guard can offer you a little bit of protection before trimming the nail too short. So again, these are my favorite style. You can usually buy them at pet stores or online. The next thing I want to talk about is styptic powder. So in the rare case that you do trim a pet's nails too short, there might be a little bit of blood that comes out of the end. So what that is there's a vein that runs through the center of the nail called the quick. What you want to do is trim right before the quick. So you can see the pink of the quick in a cat's clear nails, and you trim right before it, so there's a little bit of a space. But cats are very wiggly, and if you trim a little bit too short, it isn't the end of the world. It's kind of like getting a little bit of a hangnail. It's not terribly uncomfortable, but it's not painful, and a healthy cat is not going to have any health problems related to it. So if that happens, then that's where styptic powder comes in. So styptic powder is a blood coagulant, and what that does is to help clot so that it doesn't continue to keep bleeding. It also usually has some sort of antibacterial properties to make sure everything stays nice and clean. So a common brand to use is Quick Stop with a K, K-W-I-K, but there are several different brands on the market. If you're trying to trim your nails at home and you don't have styptic powder, in a pinch, you can use cornstarch powder, even flour, or you can take an unscented bar of soap and just press and hold it up against the nail if the cat will let you, and that should stop the bleeding pretty quickly. If your cat is bleeding a lot, or if it's looking red and irritated and the cat is getting very anxious, then you should definitely seek veterinary attention. So the next thing that I mentioned is a towel. So for most cats, you will be able to trim the nails by doing one of the two ways that I'm going to be talking about in this video, on the table or on your lap. But if you have a very wiggly kitty, especially if they're larger, a towel can be an extra set of hands. So what I do is I lay this flat on the table, and I will wrap the cat very, very snugly inside the towel. That way they aren't able to escape nearly as easily, and I can take one foot out at a time in order to trim their nails. So a towel is definitely very handy. If you have a cat who is a little feistier when it comes to trimming their nails, then you can use something like a small e-collar to help trim the nails very quickly without being at a high risk of being bitten on your hands. So a small e-collar is great for small to medium-sized cats, and even large cats if you're only using it to prevent getting bit on when you're trimming their front legs, because obviously their head is still sticking out and they can still turn around and bite you. However, This is usually something that a lot of people have at home. So if your pet has ever gone to get spayed or neutered or have surgery, sometimes the vet will send you home with an inexpensive or soft fabric e-collar. That will work in a pinch and you don't have to specifically order something. But this is a fairly inexpensive small e-collar that can come in handy in a pinch if you need to apply medication or if you need to trim the cat's nails and they're getting a little feisty with you. Most cats you could probably trim nails once you get used to it without any of these tools. Lastly, if you need to have a second person, that can be helpful for one person to hold the cat while the other person trims their nails. I don't typically like that because a lot of times cats don't like that many people up and holding them. But if you are going to use that type of technique, then make sure to focus on what I consider the high priority nails and that you do first. So if the cat wiggles away or if the person isn't able to hold them comfortably, then that way you can work on maybe one foot at a time or those high priority nails and then maybe work on the other nails at a separate session. Usually high priority nails are always the front nails. I also start with the dew claws, which are the thumbs, because those are the trickiest to get, and I'll show you in the next couple of video clips on how I work on those. So the last thing I mention is pants or clothing that's appropriate for getting cat hair on them. I didn't want to write it up on the board, but some cats also pee when they're having something done to them that they don't like. So I recommend wearing either maybe an old pair of sweatpants or having a towel on your lap or on the table, however technique you're going to try, just in case anything happens. But don't wear nice clean slacks or do this right before you're about to go to work because sometimes you can get a little bit messy. So I've got King here who prefers to stand and walk around, so I like to do him on the table. And so I like to start with the front nails. I just kind of hug him from behind so he can't go backwards. And he's got old soft paws on, so I need to trim those off. And if they're a little stuck, then I just have to break the seal of the glue. I know, hi. Good boy. And then I'm pressing the very top of the foot. Try this way. In order to make the nail push out so I can see it, so it's not all tucked up inside the hair, especially on long-haired kitties. Now the nails have a vein in the middle, referred to as the quick. You don't want to cut into the vein, and so usually you can see, since most cats' nails are clear, where the clear stops and the pink begins. So you can take off a little bit at a time before you get close to the pink. One more nail on this foot. Good boy. All our old soft paws. So you can see I'm just hugging him and lifting up feet. Now I like to start on the dew claw, which is like the innermost nail, which is the thumb, because that is the most challenging nail to get to. And if they start wiggling, you want to make sure you do that one first. So you just come in, hold the nail in front, push with your finger at the very top of the joint. Oh, you're just going to lay down, huh? In order to do any trimming. That way I can see the nail, I can see the pink through the hair. Good job, bud. So you can take off a little bit of a time, but you don't want to spend too much time on each nail because he's a very patient cat and even he's not going to stand here forever. Thank you, you good boy. So those are our front nails. Now for the back nails, I will still do cats that like to just be standing up on the table, but I will hug them instead and just lift the back foot up and just take off a little bit on each toe. So I'm just giving him a little hug. Hello. So if I need to move him into position, I'll go ahead and move him into position and then go back to trimming nails. I don't want to be moving him into position and trying to trim nails at the same time. Now with this last back foot, I kind of push them into the corner a little bit and lift the foot up and just get in there real quick to finish trimming my back nails.
And then we're all done. And then he gets pets, right? We get lots of pets because that's what we like. Don't put your butt in front of the camera. It's my good boy. So you'll see him in a little while when we do our short-haired brushing video because he's a very hairy boy. Okay, so I wanted to get a close-up of the nail trimming process. So she's got old soft paws on, which will be great for you to see. So what you need to do in order to trim the nail, so obviously she's got fluffy toes, so I need to push the nail out in order to get it to where I can see it without all this hair around. So what you do is you push in front of the nail, which is going to extend it out. So see, now we can see it all. So I'm going to remove the old soft paw. And then I can see, this is pretty much trimmed about where I want it to be anyway. So we don't want to go into the pink. We want to leave a little bit of clear. Hi, Pandy. And we'll keep doing it. So we're going to push the nail, start to trim at the top of this hook. Take this off so you can see it. And trim a little bit more. All right, next one, push the top of the nail, express the toenail. Get a little bit more here. And one more right here. Do the inside to kind of roll it towards me a bit. There we go. To get this dew claw. Now, they don't use their dew claw as much as their other nails, so it's really important that this one gets trimmed, so you don't want to miss the thumb. Sticking out. And that's it, all nice and trimmed. So another position that I will do a lot of cats in is sitting in my lap. So some small cats will just sit on top of my lap in order for me to trim the nails, but some larger cats I might have to put their lower half gently squeeze between my legs. This way I can lift their paws forward and trim them. Same thing on the other side. Sorry, Mama. Lift the paws straight up so I can see them and get them trimmed, and I'm holding her nice and snug so she doesn't wiggle away. Obviously that's what she wants to do, is wiggle away. And then to do the back legs, I will sit them forward, tuck this out of the way, and I'm hugging her nice in a sitting position, nice and firm, in order to trim these back legs. You're fine. So remember, get her in a position. The other way is to lay them down, hold the front legs, tuck them behind your elbow to get these last back toes. Now it's nice and firm, but I'm also being gentle to not pull their legs around. And then once we're all finished, have her sit back up, and then she's all done.